And we are having another round of Hannah randomly films spontaneously. Today we're going to talk about rejection, because today I was rejected from the civil service bus stream, which may seem like nothing, but the application process is so long, and there's so many stages to it, and I've been going through this for 5 months now, and I went up to Newcastle, which is like the other end of the country, for an assessment day, and I did all of it, did all I could, and I know that, and I still got rejected, and there's been a lot of tears today, and maybe I haven't been as productive as I could have been because, you know, my brain just hasn't been in the right place, but I've been trying, and I think being rejected has brought up a lot of feelings that I have about myself, negative feelings about myself. I think when we get rejected, there are people, especially people in especially privileged positions, who are white, middle class, not disabled, have supportive family environments, you know, have family in the civil service or whatever organisation it is that they want to go into, and they're better equipped. They go to universities that maybe run how to smash the civil service assessment day, or they can afford the guides that other organisations make on how to smash the civil service assessment day, and this can all be applied outside of the civil service as well, with rejection to like universities. People in especially privileged positions get way more work and way more time put into them by their school, in applying for university, in how to write a personal statement, in interview prep, especially if you're going for Oxford or Cambridge or someone from a state school background. You know, there are people in a much more privileged position than you who unintentionally, if you make a social media post or whatever, or just generally, even if it's not directly to you, will comment saying things that unintentionally hurt. You know, like, if you just try hard enough, life is about trying hard. But in the position where you've been rejected, and I feel like I've dealt with more rejection and more failure, or like a perceived failure, than a lot of people I know. A lot of people who I have called my friends in the past have always got that work experience that they wanted, and have always been able to study abroad like they wanted, which isn't an option on my course. Like, it's not comparable because I couldn't have done it. Have always got that part-time job that they wanted, have always got into their top choice university, have always got 2-1s and firsts. A lot of people I know are like that, and then there's me, who was rejected from countless part-time jobs in my first year of A-levels. Finished first year of university with a 2-2, didn't manage to get any legal work experience in first or second year because it is so competitive and I'm just useless, and like, you need experience to get the experience, but like, how? And yeah, I think people do say things quite insensitively, and I think it's just like learning to recognise that and not listen to it. Because, I mean, if you're watching my video, like, if you're one of those 8 people who watch my videos, you probably have a chronic illness or a mental illness and have nothing better to do than watch me. And that if you just try hard enough mentality, it doesn't it doesn't really apply to you because there's only so much you can do. I mean, even if you have no underlying issues going on in your life, still, life doesn't always work out how you plan, no matter how hard you try, and there's no point taking that if only you tried hard enough and completely running yourself into the ground, because that's not healthy at all, and beating yourself up isn't very good. I think when you're rejected, it's very easy to completely give up, and completely lose hope and suddenly be scared of everything that could put you in a similar situation in the future and everything that could show your flaws in the future. I mean, today I found myself scared to go to my seminars next week because I'm not intelligent enough, and I can't make any useful contributions. I haven't replied to an email saying whether I can do the dissertation group presentation on that date, because the thought of standing up in front of a group of however many people, like it won't be many, and talking about something that I'm doing, it's kind of like an extension of myself, if that makes sense. And not that I can relate to my dissertation, but because it's something that I'm doing and I've chosen to do, and something that's such a big part of my degree, and fundamentally defines me as a law student, it's an extension of myself. And the thought of standing up in front of a group of people who, like, I've seen before but I don't know and I'm not friends with, and probably just don't like me because I'm me, it feels unbearable. It feels really unbearable, and I honestly would give anything to be able to get out of it, and not that I'm gonna get into trouble for not doing it. And yes, I have a built-in excuse, but I'm not going to use my built-in excuse because that's not the point of being chronically ill. I mean, I know I just have to woman up and do it realistically, unless the chronic fatigue people want to give me an appointment on that day at that time, and I will snap it up. And they can be running late if they want, and if that wants to happen, that would be amazing, because I really, like, even if I do reply, like, I don't think I'm gonna go, because it's just, you know, there's different levels of anxiety, I guess, especially when you've dealt with rejection, and my anxiety is quite low at the moment, and I would have been able to do it, maybe, but now I can't. Like, it's just too much, because suddenly I've been faced with how useless I really am, and I know that's not the point, and there were strong points in the civil service feedback that they give you if you get to the assessment stage. You know, I did do some things okay. I'm not completely useless, but my score was really low. I scored like 2.3 in that sort of range for each competency, which, if you want to know, they score out of 4, and from looking at it, I presume they won't even consider you until you get a 3, but 2 is like really bad. It's like you need a lot of development before you're suitable for the civil service or like the fast stream, and I'm aware of that, and I'm aware I was competing with people who are so much better than me, who are white, who are middle class, who are male, who aren't disabled, and yeah, I can, you know, attest to being one of those things, as you can tell, but I'm not middle class. I don't go to a Russell Group university. I am disabled. I don't know people in the civil service. And I haven't had the fortunate chance to get work experience, either because I didn't know it existed. In my first and second year, I just generally didn't know it existed. Or because I was rejected. And you know, a lot of these people were older than me as well. They'd been to the assessment centre before, they'd had masters, they were already in the civil service. But it's a grad scheme, and I just think the way it is these days with getting a job after university, it's, you know, your expectations are set so high and everyone expects so much of you. Everyone expects you to go on and do these amazing things. And the reality is most of us don't get a grad scheme. And I'm really scared I'm going to be one of those people who just ends up working in Tesco for the rest of my life. I guess it's just trying to come to terms with that when dealing with rejection, or whatever the rejection is. That rejection from that one thing doesn't mean that you wouldn't be good at that job. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough or that you're useless. It doesn't mean that that translates into other areas of your life. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to a dissertation presentation because you just can't deal with people and people critiquing you. And it's not like I can't deal with people critiquing me because I know I'm amazing. I don't know I'm amazing. I have such low self-confidence that the thought of people physically critiquing me in front of me, you know, it just highlights everything I already know. But you need to try and take ownership of that, and try and put yourself in those situations regardless, because although rejection doesn't get easier, rejection never gets easier, especially if it's something you put your whole soul into. And actually, once I got to the assessment centre, I thought I might have a chance. You know, because I'd come that far. Rejection doesn't get easier, but putting yourself in situations where you have to expose yourself for the useless piece of shit you think you are does get easier. It does get easier, and it might not feel like it right now in my life, and this rejection might have pushed me a few steps back in that, you know, probably quite a few steps in back with that, because I was getting so much more comfortable and confident. But it does get easier, and life isn't linear, and with rejection as a whole, there are many reasons why you could have been rejected. It could just be because everyone else was better than you. You know what, with some companies it could be because they had already given away all the available places before you applied and they just didn't close the application window. That happens. It could be because you're disabled. You could have been discriminated against, but there's no way to prove that. It could be because you don't look right. You're not white and middle class. You don't go to a Russell Group university, and at the end of the day, any company and any organisation in the UK at least, if they see two people with equal attributes, you know, two equal people, and they can only choose one of them, they're going to choose the Oxbridge graduate. They're not going to choose the Brunel graduate or the Anglia Ruskin graduate. I can't even speak, graduate. And that doesn't mean there's no hope for you if you don't go to a good university. There absolutely is hope for you. But unfortunately, grad schemes don't happen for everyone. It's just the nature of the beast. There's not enough grad schemes in the country, or grad schemes that we're interested in for everyone to get. And that doesn't mean you're not trying hard enough or not applying for enough, because there's no point applying for something that you really, 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 really don't want. Because where's that gonna get you? Nowhere. Nowhere. And it's just about recognizing that life goes on, and everything happens for a reason, you know. Maybe I didn't get the civil service job because I'm going to go on and do something amazing. I'd like to think so, but at this point my hopes are just being drained one by one of my suitability for anything. Maybe I didn't get that civil service job because my health's so unstable, and you know, this everything happens for a reason means maybe my health is going to take a huge turn for the worse. Like, I know I'm realistically not well enough to work full time anyway. I know. You know, and maybe it's better I have something less stressful at the moment. And I know that, but expectations always get the better of me, you know, but that's life. And whether you believe in God or not, I think everything happens for a reason is a good way to see it. Because at the end of the day, one day, you will find what's right for you. You will be in a position where you are happy, even if it's just for a moment. You know, life will fall into place, even if right now it doesn't, because you're young and you're close to graduating university, or you're about to go to university and you don't know what to study, or you're in university and you see everyone doing so much around you and you're not. That doesn't mean you're not good enough. It doesn't mean you're not trying enough. That's just you doing what you can to get through, and that's okay. That is okay. And if you do believe in God, just trying to remember that God has a plan for you. You know, that quote from Jeremiah, I don't know which verse and which oh god, this is why I got rejected from the civil service, because brain fog. Probably actually I think brain fog is probably the explanation of it all, and I'm just not intelligent enough. But yeah, but God has a plan for you and plans to prosper you, and you know, he will look after you. Listen to some worship music, just ground yourself, recenter yourself. And yes, it's tough now, and yes, maybe it's been tough for most of your life. Unfortunately, we don't all have easy lives. Unfortunately, some of us have extremely hard lives, and people don't realise that because they don't know, or people don't realise that because they don't get told the full extent of it, or they don't realise how much going through so much in a life can hurt because they've never been through it. And it's not necessarily obvious things, you know. It's just being chronically ill for most of your life, or not having supportive parents, and not being believed about being ill for a lot of your life, you know, having an eating disorder. Do you know what? I could go on if I wanted to, but I don't want to wallow about how bad my life has been. But I do want to hope that this has all happened for something, and this has all happened for something. I can see myself growing and improving, and understanding the world more. But it's just hoping that one day maybe one day, you know, I'll be normal. Or not normal, but I'll be able to pretend normal, and I'll be meeting society's expectations of myself, which is quite unrealistic. I'm meeting society's expectations of myself, which is going on to have a high-powered job, which isn't going to happen. Or I could do, you know, there is still hope for me. I've not been rejected from all of the grad schemes I've applied for yet, but if I get another rejection, because it depends on the stages, but if I get to another assessment centre and then I get rejected, it's going to hurt about the same, because the only ones I still have going for me are the ones that I really want. And that's just the nature of the beast. I think it's good as well to cry sometimes and to feel hurt over something and to get emotional, because it shows that you cared. You know, it shows that you really wanted it. If you were just all chill and like, oh well, that wasn't for me straight away, well, what the fuck? No. I think when you care about something, you're going to be disappointed when you fail, or you don't meet your expectations of yourself, or you get rejected, and that's just going to happen, and that's okay. And it's just learning to ride with that and deal with that and overcome it by remembering that everything happens for a reason, and just trying to ground yourself. And this was a waffle, but you know, also final note, these assessment processes are often very artificial, but there is no other way they can test for the competencies they want. They're very artificial. You know, yesterday, the things I did, I would never have to do in practice in that same way, in that same time limit, without that project being my life, or at least a large part of my life. You know, being put into something for an hour or two of your life, and doing something with that is very difficult, when in reality you'd have a lot more than that, and you'd have a lot more context and a lot more experience. So yeah, it is tough. It's designed to be tough, and it's gonna hurt when you get rejected, but it is okay, and life goes on. I promise you, life doesn't just stop because you got rejected from your dream grad scheme, or one of your 2 dream grad schemes. You know, maybe you'll find another dream. Maybe you'll find something that you didn't even know you were ever designed to do. Maybe you'll apply again next year and get through. Maybe this year isn't the best year to join the civil service with Brexit and stuff. Maybe not. So, you know, I don't know. Everything happens for a reason, and yeah, I have talked for too many minutes, so I will stop and end the video here. And if you listened to my waffle, well done. I hope I was somewhat helpful with my mellowness and my obviously still hurtness. Like, I thought I was kind of okay, which is why I pressed on the camera, but yeah, no, I'm not. Just bringing up the topic again, it's not something I want to think about, really.